A warm welcome, children, back again to the class of biology. And in the previous class we talked about kingdom fungi, right? And we had discussed the general characteristics of kingdom fungi, and then we talked about the divisions as well, right? So in the divisions we discussed about Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes and Deuteromycetes, which are fungi in perfecti, right? And today we will start with kingdom Plantae, right? So the 5 kingdom system of classification, which was put forward by R.H. Whitaker, we are doing that in detail, and we have completed kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, and today we are going to do the 4th kingdom, that is kingdom Plantae, right? Now this particular kingdom, it includes all the plants found on earth, right? So here I have a potted plant, and if you look at this potted plant, we will find many characteristics that you can relate with if you will look at these plants, right? Now, just before that, let's talk about the structural unit of the plant, that is the cell, right? Structural unit of any we can say any living organism, right? So we will talk about the cell. Now all plants are multicellular, right? So if you look at the plant is visible to you. So plants are multicellular. All around us we can see so many different kinds of plants, right? So the first thing, the general characteristics we see is that the plants are multicellular, right? Mostly they are multicellular. Then they are eukaryotic, right? Eukaryotic means the presence of true nucleus and all the membrane bound organelles are present, right? Another characteristic feature found in the plant kingdom or in the plant cell is the presence of cell wall, right? Which is made up of cellulose. So they have a rigid membrane outside, which is called the cell wall, a rigid wall outside cell wall, and that gives firmness or the main structure to the plant, right? Now, presence of, looking at these plants, you see that the leaves are green in color, right? So if the leaves are green in color, then the plant contains chlorophyll. Now, if the plant contains chlorophyll, that means it can manufacture its own food, and so it is autotrophic and it performs photosynthesis, right? So in other words, we can say that it is autotrophic. It can manufacture its own food by the process called photosynthesis. Now, looking at the plant, it is fixed in one place, and here it is fixed inside the pot, right? Now the plant, this potted plant, can move from one place to another place only if I am holding and if I move, right? If I move, then the plant is moving. Otherwise, the plant is fixed in its own place, right? So what do we say? That plants are stationary or they are non-motile, right? They cannot move, right? And then if you look at the plant, you will find that not of course in all the plants that we will study here just now, the categories, but in general, the plants that we are surrounded with, you can find that the plant body is differentiated into many parts, right? So if you look at this is the stem of the plant, and you can see leaves. Now this is not the flowering season, so the flower is not found, but this is a flowering plant. This is jade, right? The name of the plant is jade. This is a flowering plant. It has white or red flowers, right? So since this is not the flowering season, so there are no flowers, right? Then in the soil, you will find, if you dig the soil, you will find the roots of the plant, right? So what do we get to see over here is that the plant body is differentiated into roots, stems and leaves, right? And of course flowers are there. Now the root system is found below the soil because this is not visible, and the part of the plant that is aerial or above the soil is the stem and the leaf. This is the part of the plant that is above the soil, right? Then in your lower classes, you've already studied reproduction in plants, right? So generally, most of the plants, they reproduce sexually, right? So we will say that sexual reproduction is mostly found in the plants, right? So they show an autotrophic mode of nutrition, right? And they have different parts, like I showed you, right? The part of the plant that is used for anchorage so that the plant can stand firmly is the root, right? So root fixes the plant firmly inside the soil, right? So that the plant can stand firm, right? If there are no roots, then the terrestrial plants will topple down, will fall. They won't be able to stand firm, right? So the roots, they provide anchorage, right? Then there are organs for reproduction, right? If you remember, we've already studied the reproductive part of the plant, right? That is the flower, right? Since this is, I told you, this is not the flowering season, so we can't see the flower. So flower is a reproductive part of the plant. So the reproductive organ is found in the flower, that is the androecium and the gynoecium, right? Then we find the branches, right, the stems, and we find the part of the plant that manufactures food, which are the leaves, right? So looking at the plant, we can find that we can see that plant has different parts or different organs which are used for different functions, right? So that's about the basic characteristics of plants, right? These characteristics mostly that we discussed is visible, right? These are the visible characteristics that we have talked about. Of course, they reproduce sexually. We know that the reproductive part of the plant is flower, and so we've studied about that, right? Okay. Now we come to the classification of kingdom Plantae. So how are they all this while when we studied right from the 5 kingdom system of classification, we discussed the basis of classification, right? That means what are the characteristics that are taken into consideration based on which a particular kingdom is divided into different groups, right? So the characteristics or the basis of classification of kingdom Plantae, or the characteristics that are taken into consideration to group the plants into various category. There are 3 points that we will talk about found in the plant kingdom. And the first, and as it is, the plant kingdom is a vast kingdom, right? Why? Because we find that different varieties of plants that are found, right? Different types of plants you'll see that there are some plants which are flowering plants which bear flowers, right? And then you'll find that there are some plants which do not bear flowers, right? So based on certain characteristics, they are divided into various groups. So the first characteristic that is taken is the plant body, right? So the plant body is just the plant that I showed you. How does it look like, right? Now whether the body of the plant is differentiated into various parts, like when we talked about this, we saw that this plant is differentiated into roots, stems and leaves, right? So that this differentiation is found over here. Flowers are also found, right? But not all the plants are not all the plant body can be differentiated into root, stems and leaves. So based on this, so we need to say whether the plant body is differentiated into different structures. So whether the plant body is differentiated into different parts, right? So that is the first characteristic that is taken into consideration, and the second characteristic that is taken into consideration is the vascular system. What is the vascular system? The presence of conducting tissues. The presence of conducting tissues. So what are these conducting tissues? These are xylem and phloem, right? So when we will study about these plant categories, we will see that there are a group of plants which do not have these conducting tissues, or the vascular system is not present in them, right? So xylem is a conducting tissue which helps in the conduction of water, whereas phloem helps in the conduction of food, right? So some of them, they don't have these conducting tissues, right? Some which have the conducting tissues, they may not have all the four elements that make up this conducting tissue. We've studied tissues and we know that xylem and phloem are complex tissues. Complex tissues are made up of different types of cells, right? So there are four, we can say, elements that make up xylem and four elements that make up phloem, right? So we will see that there is one particular category which does not have all the four elements. Xylem is there, phloem is there, but not made up of all the four elements, right? And then we find that there is a group that contains all the four elements in xylem and phloem, right? So based on this also, the plant kingdom is divided into different categories. And the third point is seed formation. Right, so the third point is seed formation, whether the plant bears flowers and seeds or not, right? And if it does, whether the seed is enclosed inside the fruit or whether it is just exposed, right? So here seed formation, whether the plant bears seed and flowers. Not all the plants will bear flowers, right? Then if there is the seed, then whether the seed is enclosed in fruit or not, right? So this is again taken into consideration, right? Considering all these factors, the plant kingdom has been divided into 5 categories, right? So the 3 main characteristics based on which the plant kingdom is divided into 5 categories are the plant body, the vascular system and seed formation. So let's see what are the 5 categories into which the plant kingdom is divided. So the plant kingdom is divided into 5 categories, right? The first one is Halophyta. Second is Bryophyta, right? Third is Pteridophyta, then Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Right. So, if you look at this third one, Pteridophyta, spelled as Pterido, where P is silent, right? So, we pronounce it as Pteridophyta. Right, so these are the 5 kingdoms: Halophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Right, so we will start with the first category of the plant kingdom, that is Halophyta. If you remember, in the previous class we talked about the word thallus, right? The word thallus. So what did we say? That is a structure which is not differentiated into root, stems and leaves, right? That means we're talking about the first characteristic, that is the plant body. Whether the plant body is differentiated into root, stems or leaves or not. So here in Thallophyta, thallus is a structure or a body which is not differentiated. Thallus, right? Not differentiated. Not differentiated into what? Into roots, stems and leaves, right? So they have a thallus-like plant body which is not differentiated into roots, stems and leaves, right? So they lack differentiation of the body structure, right? And all those plants which lack the differentiation of the body structure, they are grouped under thallophytes. They're called thallophytes, right? So they commonly include all the primitive and simple body designs, right? So they are primitive in nature. They are primitive. They have a simple structure. Obviously, when the body is not differentiated into root, stems and leaves, so their structure or the body design is simple, right? All algae belong to this group, right? So we have brown algae, we have red algae, right? So there are different types: red, brown, all these algae, they come under this group, that is the Thallophyta, simple body designs. And majority of these algae are aquatic, right? Majority are aquatic. Aquatic means they are found in water, right? So Spirogyra, Eulothrix, all these are examples of the algae, right? Spirogyra, Eulothrix, right? Chara, all these are examples, right? Now, in the previous class, we also talked about algal bloom, right? The green carpeted layer that you find on the surface of water, right? That is algae, right? Which belongs to Thallophyta, right? So all algae belong to Thallophyta, and there are different types of algae, right? So the plant body now over here may be unicellular, right? Or may be found in colonies. Or colonies means many together, which looks like there are many algae present, right? So there are many unicellular forms when are found in a group, that is called the colony, right? And or they may be filamentous. If you look at Spirogyra, right? It is filamentous, thread-like, ribbon-like, right? So you studied fragmentation in them, right? So that is the structure. So they may be unicellular, they may be found in colonies also, and they may be filamentous, depending upon which type of the body they have. Now, all algae are covered with a layer of mucilage, right? We've discussed what is mucilage also earlier. It's a covering, a gelatinous covering outside the body. And what does this covering do is, it protects. Now, since they are aquatic, they're found in water, so there are chances that their body can get desiccated or decayed in water, right? Because there's so many other things in water also, right? So the mucilage covering that is there, that protects the body of the algae in water, right? So that is the function of mucilage. Now, since they are found in water only, so they do not need any conducting tissues. That means vascular tissues are absent, right? They are found in water only, they are aquatic, so they do not require any conducting tissues or vascular tissues. So being aquatic, the vascular tissues are absent, right? Again here, now we talked about the roots, which help in the anchorage of the plant so that the plant stands firm, right? And then the stem also helps in the firmness, right? Now all these are mechanical tissues. All these are absent in algae, in thallophytes, right? So mechanical tissue are also absent, right? Now what happens is that the algae, it floats on the surface of water, right? And so the water, it provides the buoyancy for the algae to float on the surface, right? If water does not provide that buoyancy, then the algae may go down in water, right? It may drown in water, we can say. So this water, it provides the buoyancy, right? So then in that case, since water is providing the buoyancy for it to float on the surface of water, there's no need of any anchorage also to the plant, right? Any kind of mechanical tissues also not required, so that buoyancy makes the algae remain up in upright position in water, right? Now since these algae, their body is very, very flexible, right? It is filamentous, it has that mucilage covering, right? That makes the body flexible, right? So they can move in any direction of the flow of water, right? So they're green in color, they have chlorophyll, whether they are red, brown or whatever algae, they have chlorophyll, and so they perform photosynthesis. So their mode of nutrition is that they are autotrophic and they perform photosynthesis. So chlorophyll is one pigment present. Other than that, there are other pigments present, red, green, brown pigments also present. So accordingly, they are called red algae, brown algae, etc. Right? The most common method of reproduction is vegetative and asexual mode of reproduction. That is the most common, right? So that is the vegetative and asexual. Vegetative and asexual reproduction is abundant, right? So that's about the algae, and not to mean that only vegetative and asexual reproduction is there. They perform sexual reproduction also, and the sexual reproduction is by isogamy, identical spores, right? And as isogamy and oogamy, right? But this is rare. This is the most common method of reproduction in thallophytes, right? So that's about the first category, Thallophyta, having a thallus-like structure. Thallus means not differentiated into root stems and leaves, and they are mostly aquatic, but they are photosynthetic, right? The primitive group of the plant kingdom, right? And now we move on to the next kingdom, that is the next category of the plant kingdom, and the next category is Bryophyta. The second one is Bryophyta. That's the second kingdom, and Bryophyta has been derived from a Greek word bryon, which means moss, right? And phyton, which means plants, right? So moss plants, right? So that is how the name is derived, and there are around 25,000 species of bryophytes that are found, right? Now what we discussed in the previous category was that thallophytes are mostly aquatic. Now these are the first, we can say, terrestrial, not totally terrestrial, but they were the first terrestrial plants that are found on land. But then they are found in damp soil, damp and shady habitats, right? Damp and shady habitat. That means they are found on land, but they need wet lands, right? Damp lands, right? So just see, from water, aquatic, to now on land, right? Now when they are on land, that means they need some anchorage also on land, right? So now see how the modification is taking place and how the body of the plant is becoming more complex. In each category, as we move on, you will find the complexity, right? So they live in damp and shady habitats. They are small sized, so small sized, so they do not attain great heights, right? So they're not very tall. Obviously, when they're small in size, so in other words, they're not very tall, so they do not attain great heights. Again, they are non-vascular land plants, right? So they are non-vascular, they are terrestrial. As I told you, they are found on land, terrestrial, right? So they are found on land, from water, now on land. And of course, damp means moist habitat, right? So what happens, why do they need a moist habitat is like the soil where they are found, if these are soil particles, right? The soil has to be surrounded with a layer of water, right? Why do they require this layer of water? For the movement of the male gametes, right? So the male gametes, they need water to swim, right? So they are called the amphibians of the plant kingdom, right? Or terrestrial amphibians. I'll write here, amphibians of the plant kingdom. What are amphibians? Frogs, that's an example. And frogs are found on land. They can live on land and they can live in water. So they want land and water both, right? So here also, these bryophytes, they are plants. They are terrestrial, but they require water also because of the male gametes. For the male gametes to swim, water is required, right? So that is why they're called amphibians of the plant kingdom, right? So again here, a little bit of more modification. The roots, of course, are not there, but they have for anchorage because they are there on land, so they need something to fix themselves, right? So the roots are absent, but root-like structures called rhizoids. Rhizoids. What are they? Root-like. They are not root-like structures. Right. So if this is the body of a plant, then root-like structures, it hangs like this, right? So those are the rhizoids, right? And then the sex organs, a little bit of more modification again here. The sex organs are multicellular. Like for example, I am drawing the male sex organ right here. You can see there are many cells inside with the nucleus. So they are multicellular. Multicellular, right? Along with, they have a layer of jacket that is present, right? So the sex organs are multicellular and they're jacketed. Jacketed means they're surrounded by a layer of cells, right? So they are jacketed. That is the structure of the reproductive organ. Similarly, the plant, this is the male reproductive organ. Similarly, the female reproductive organ shape is something like this, right? Inside it is multicellular and then a layer of jacket. So the sex organs are multicellular and they are jacketed, right? Examples of bryophyta are moss, right? Moss is one example. Then Markensia is another example. Markensia. This is another example, right? So these are a little more advanced than the thallophytes. They are called the amphibians of the plant kingdom. They do not have roots, but there is a little bit of differentiation that is found in the body structure by the presence of rhizoids, which are root-like structures. right? We move on now to the next kingdom. Sorry, it's not the kingdom. The kingdom is already plantae that we are studying. So we are talking about the different categories, right? So we've done Thallophyta, we've done Bryophyta, and we move on to the next one, Pteridophyta, right? Pteridophyta, P is silent, so we do not pronounce that. So they are Pteridophyta, right? And they derived again from the Greek word pteris, P-T-E-R-I-S, pteris, which means fern, right? And phyton, of course, is the plant. So they are those ferns. If you remember, if you've seen those bouquets, right? Beautiful bouquets with those very dainty green leafy structures, right? Like they're like lace, they can hang down also, right? So those are the ferns. There are different types of ferns, and just outside the old office where the senior staff room is, that side, the plants that are there, potted plants that are there, many of them are ferns, right? So when we will go to school, I'll take you out and I'll show you the ferns over there, right? So these are ferns. Now these are a little more advanced. Why? Because they have vascular tissues present. Vascular tissue is present, right? Thallophytes did not have vascular tissues. Bryophytes did not have vascular tissues. They are land plants only now, right? And pteridophytes, they have vascular tissues present, and this vascular tissue is xylem and phloem, right? So xylem conducts water and phloem conducts food, right? Now they are more in number as compared to the previous two categories. Around 275,000 species of pteridophytes are found, right? So the plant body now is more differentiated, and the plant body of pteridophytes have true stems, right, and true roots, right? So whatever root and stem we study about the plants, the land plants, those are the true roots and the true stems, right? And of course the true leaves are also present, right? So leaves are also present. So they are a little more advanced. The body structure is more differentiated as compared to the bryophytes now, right? So how is it more differentiated? By the presence of true stems, true roots and leaves, right? And again here, these plants, they attain great height. Bryophyte, small plants, right? Here these have great height, as tall as 100 meter, and they are long lived also. Long lived, as long as 6,000 years, more than that also, right? So that is another characteristic feature. And then they are adapted to different environment, right? Adapted to different environment, found in different environmental conditions, and they don't reproduce through seeds. Remember, seed formation is one of the bases. So they do not reproduce through seeds, but they reproduce through spores. They reproduce through spores, right? No seeds, right? So what happens is that you will see that there are leafy structures that are not true leaves, right? So there are leafy structures that are present in these plants, and they are called those fronds or sporophylls, right? Leafy structure, and beneath the leaf, right? If you look at the surface of the leaf, you have one upper surface of the leaf and one you have the lower surface of the leaf. In the lower surface of the leaves, you will see some black powdery substance that is present, right? If you keep that leaf on a white paper, you will find the impression of those black powdery substance on the paper, right? They'll stick to the paper. So those black powdery substance are the spores through which they reproduce, right? So they do not have seeds, so they are seedless, but they reproduce through spores, right? And the leaves, these are called sporangia, right? These spores are called sporangia, and the leaves that bear sporangia, these leaves are called sporophyll, right? So these leaves bearing sporangia are called sporophylls, right? So now their dominant, what is a sporophyll? The part of the plant that bears spores, that is called having spores. Now that plant is called a sporophyte, right? So now what we will see is that there are two generations in the plant, right? So one that produces spore is called the sporophyte, and one that produces gamete is called the gametophyte, right? And they the generation, they alternate with each other, right? In some categories you'll find that the major life is the sporophyte, and the gametophyte stage is very, very inconspicuous, a very small phase, right? In others you'll find that the gametophase is longer as compared to the sporophyte phase, right? Gametophyte phase is longer than the sporophyte phase. So here also the dominant phase of the plant body is the sporophyte. So alternation of generation is also found over here, and the gametophyte producing gametes, they produce gametes, that is inconspicuous, very, very small stages there, right? So that's about the category Pteridophyta. We'll quickly differentiate between bryophytes and pteridophytes. Bryophytes are non-vascular, whereas pteridophytes are vascular, right? Bryophytes, the body, the plant body is just a leafy structure, not very well differentiated. But in pteridophytes, the body is differentiated into true stem, true roots, and leaves, right? Leaf-like structures. Bryophytes have rhizoids present, which are root-like structures, whereas the pteridophytes have true roots present, right? In bryophytes, the gametophyte phase is dominating, whereas in pteridophytes, the sporophyte phase is the dominating phase. So that's the basic difference, and we move on to the next category of the plant kingdom, that is the gymnosperms, right? The fourth category, the gymnosperms, right? These are called naked seeded plants, right? Naked seeded, but the presence of seed is there. Pteridophytes, no seeds, spores, right? More modification, right? More complex. Gymnosperms, seeds are present, but their seeds are exposed on the surface of the plant. They are not enclosed in anything. They are not covered with anything, right? So that's the gymnosperms, which are naked seeded plants or seeds without a covering, right? Seeds without flowers, right? They are a small group of plants, and they are represented by, let's say they are a small group, not many are found, represented by 70 genera and around 900 species, right? There was a time around 200 billion years ago when these were the dominant species on Earth, right? But now, the present time, they are found only in the cold regions. They are found only in the cold regions where snow is water, it provides water, right? So the water requirement is taken care of by the snow. No rain is there, right? So most of the time there is snow, right? So it was dominant. Now they are found only in the cold areas where instead of water, snow is, we can say, it is the source of water, right? So they are perennial, long-lived, thousands of years, more than 6,000 years, and they are woody structures, right? Woody plants, right? So we can say that they are bushy, they are bushes, and woody trees are there, right? So we can say they are woody and bushy. Bushes are found, and the tall, very tall trees are there, right? Then flowers are absent in them, right? So they are non-flowering plants. Flowers are absent, right? So seeds are naked. That is the, gymnosperms are known to be the naked seeded plants, right? So seeds are naked, no fruits, right? And there are no flowers also. So the seeds, they do not occur inside the fruits. They are exposed on the surface of the plant, right? So the female gametophyte is known as archegonia. It contains archegonia, those are the spores, and the male gametophyte contains antheridium, right? So archegonia and antheridium. We will do all this in detail later, right? And of course, they have the vascular tissues present. Xylem and phloem are present, right? But xylem lacks vessels and the phloem lacks companion cells. Remember, I told you that not all the 4 elements are present in some categories. So here, xylem and phloem are present, but xylem lacks vessels and the phloem lacks companion cells. Lacks means vessels are absent in xylem and companion cells are absent in phloem, right? So, Pinus is one example. Netum, Gnetum. Netum is another example, right? Cycas, you must have heard. Cycas is another example. Cycas, Pinus, Netum, these are the examples, right? And we move on now to the last category of kingdom Plantae. The last category is the most advanced category, right? A most conspicuously, which has a most conspicuous body also. So the last one is angiosperms, right? These are what? Flowering plants. Flowering plants. That means they bear flowers. But not all the plants bear flowers, right? So whether it's in a particular season or whatever, but they bear plants, right? So seeds are formed inside the fruits in these plants, right? So seeds inside fruits, right? So for example, I have a mango here and this is a tomato, right? So when we eat this, we find seeds inside this, right? So these are angiosperms, fruits of an angiospermic plants. That means their flowers also found, right? So they are not naked seeded, but their seeds are covered with a fruit, right? So seeds inside the fruit. So this is like another characteristic feature of angiosperms, right? They are the most recent and most highly developed. Most recent and highly developed. So among the plants, they are the most developed category of kingdom Plantae, right? And occurs almost in every environment on earth, right? So they're found in the deserts also. Flowering plants are found in the deserts, they are found in the mountains, they are found in the polar regions, they are found in in sea, you won't find angiospermic plants in the sea, but Zostera is one angiospermic plant that is found in the sea, but in shallow water. Right? In shallow water, not deep inside. So they are found in shallow water and they are even found in hot water springs. Right? So look at the diverse environment in which they are found. Even in hot water spring, which has a temperature of 60 degrees Celsius, right? So they are found even in these conditions, right? So they are found almost, we can say, everywhere on earth, right? So flowers are formed, the sporophylls, they form flowers. So flowers are also present in these plants, right? We've studied about the structure of the flower, right? The various worlds of the flowers you've already studied, and we will do this in detail when we will talk about the plant kingdom as a separate lesson, right? Pollination is found, right? So pollination occurs. What is pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma, and pollination takes place through various agents. So there are various agents of pollination, right? Wind is there, the insects, the animals, right? The birds, right? So that help in pollination. Another feature found only in the angiosperm is double fertilization. What is fertilization? Fusion of a male and female gamete, right? So in the ovule, in the angiosperms, in the ovule of the angiosperms, there are two male nuclei that enter, which fuse with two different elements inside the ovule. So two male nuclei, two fusions taking place. Fusion means fertilization here, male and female, right? And so this is called double fertilization, which is a characteristic feature of only the angiosperms, right? So after fertilization, what happens? Ovule, it turns into seed, and ovary turns into fruit, right? So that means here, this part, the edible part, is the ovary, and inside it one big stone is there. I mean, the one big seed is there, which is the ovule, right? Ripened. This is the ripened ovary after fertilization, and after fertilization, the ovule turns into the seed, right? So that's about the angiosperms, and then you'll see that the angiosperms are divided into dicots and monocots. Again, that we will do in detail when we will do the chapter. So that's about all for today's lesson. We've completed kingdom Plantae. Out of the 5 kingdom system of classification, we are left with kingdom Animalia, and we will be talking about virus and viroids later on, right? So just complete your assignment and post it on the WhatsApp group. And then I found that not everybody is giving the assignment. So children, most of you are doing it. That's very, very good. And those who have still not completed the assignments, please complete it and post it in the group, because we are maintaining a record of the assignment as well as the attendance. So attend the classes regularly. Thank you.